Hey everyone, this is Creepy Casey, and this week's manner of death is homicide. Ronald S. Johnson. Ronald Johnson was born April 18, 1975, and was a 19-year-old young man. On November 6, 1994, a man's frozen remains were discovered in a water-filled ditch about 5 miles northwest of Dunseith, North Dakota. It was later determined that the remains belonged to Ronald S. Johnson. An autopsy was performed and identified that his cause of death was likely hypothermia. However, there was also information given that mentioned Ronald was assaulted and then placed into the ditch where he subsequently perished. Because of this, his death was ruled a homicide and continues to be investigated by the Rolette County Sheriff's Office. If you have any information on Ronald's case, please contact the Rolette County Sheriff's Office at 701-477-5623. Joseph Anderson. Joseph Anderson was a 69-year-old man who I believe was born on October 17, 1921 in Jamestown, North Dakota. I found some information that I think belongs to Joseph, but it might not be correct, so if I am wrong on it, please let me know and I will fix it. A source says he was a World War II veteran, and unfortunately, other than that, I could not find any other information of Joseph or any pictures of him either. There is little known about him. On September 16, 1991, Joseph's vehicle, a 1979 Buick Riviera, was found parked at the Gladstone Inn in Jamestown, North Dakota. Upon investigation, it was discovered there was a body in the trunk of the car, and it was Joseph's. He had been declared missing 4 days prior on September 12, 1991, meaning he had been deceased around 3 to 4 days. What is odd is that Joseph was found wearing only a white pair of jockey underwear, and he was covered in a green sheet. There is no mention of sexual assault in any of the sources I could find, and the investigators have not released that information if it is a component in this case. I just think with him clad in so little that it may be a possibility, but do not know. Since then, the case has gone cold, and there have been no further updates in the investigation. If you have any information on Joseph's case, you can contact the Jamestown Police Department at 701-252-2414. William Billy Wolfe Jr. Before I get started with this section of the video, I just wanted to say that there was a podcast made called Chasing Billy, A Pursuit for Justice, done by the Dakota Spotlight Group. So if you'd like to hear more details in depth about this case, I would recommend taking a listen for it. I also used one of their images here in my video. As you can see, I think they did a great job covering it, and I would recommend going over and checking it out. William Wolfe Jr., who went by the name Billy, was born on May 8, 1957 in Wausau, Wisconsin. He was 21 years old and living in Fargo, North Dakota in 1978 when he went missing around August 13, 1978. A week later, on August 20th, 1978, a canoeist who was on the Red River found what appeared to be a garbage bag filled with trash on the river. When he inspected it, he found a human torso that was cut in half. Further down the river, a second bag was discovered containing the rest of the remains. This happened approximately 3 miles north of Cragness, Minnesota. The autopsy had found that a bandsaw or something similar was used because the cut was described as clean or having been made in one motion. A suspect for the case was Billy's own father, William Sr. However, charges were dropped and no one else has been arrested for this crime. It's been a long time since Billy's tragic passing, but his case remains open and is being investigated. If you have any information about Billy's case, please contact the Fargo Police Department at 701-235-4493. Larry Phebus. Larry Phebus was born on May 8, 1948, and was 14 years old and living in Tioga, North Dakota in the year 1962. Sadly, the only photo I could find of Larry was his headstone, which I use with as much respect as possible. Larry was living in a motel known as the Travelers Motel in Tioga, along with his older brother Chester and his friend Sam Wallace. Larry was quite far from his mother and the rest of his siblings, who lived in Lompoc, California. Larry was last seen alive on the night of October 20th, 1962, when Chester and Sam had left the motel to go out on a double date. When they came back, Larry was nowhere to be found. According to Chester, this was odd behavior, as Larry never left without leaving a note of where he was going. 2 days later, after searching for him and waiting for him to come back, they reported Larry missing to the Williams County Sheriff. Chester even went so far as to quit his job working the oil fields to travel to California in hopes Larry might have made it to their mothers. He would be disappointed as Larry was not there. On March 27, 1963, approximately 5 months after he went missing, Larry's remains were discovered about 2.5 miles south of Alexander, North Dakota, by 2 men removing rocks from a field. A rope was found around his neck, and the medical examiner thought his cause of death was asphyxia, caused by strangulation. It is thought that he was most likely murdered the same night he went missing. His case has remained open for over 60 years now and is still under investigation. I really think with DNA technology advancing, it's entirely possible to collect DNA from some of the evidence if they kept it, like such as the rope found on him. So far, there have been no updates, though, in this case. If you have any information about Larry's case, please contact the McKenzie County Sheriff's Office at 701-444-3654. Russell Turcotte. Russell Douglas Turcotte was born October 25, 1982 in Wolf Point, Montana. He was a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe based in Belcourt, North Dakota. He was described as someone who had a kind soul and was very trusting. He was also quite social and liked to make new friends. On July 12, 2002, 19-year-old Russell was returning from a rainbow gathering, which is an event where people promote harmony and world peace, at the Ottawa National Forest in Michigan when he stopped at the Simpsons gas station in Grand Forks, North Dakota. He was waiting on a money order from his mom so he could come home faster, as there's an upcoming wedding he wanted to attend. The order was never picked up. When his mother found out he didn't get the money, she sent another son to Grand Forks to go to the police, but he was turned away. His family was told to file a missing persons report in Montana. Frustrated, Russell's mother reveals that she had a tumultuous relationship with the police and thought they didn't do enough in the beginning of her son's case. A man named Trent Haberstroh was rounding up some loose cows off the side of a road on November 5th, 2002, when he stumbled upon Russell's body. There were mentions of him sustaining blunt force trauma injuries to the back of the head, and that may be what caused his death. The police ruled his case a homicide, but Linda Hansen, Russell's mother, believes they never did enough to help solve her son's case. His father, Bill Turcotte, felt they treated his son's case differently because of his Native American heritage, although law enforcement has denied this. It's been over 20 years since Russell's death, and it still remains open. If you have any information about his case, please call the Ramsey Sheriff's Department at 701-662-0700. Lora Jean Dugan. Lora Jean Dugan was born September 26, 1957 in Livingston, Montana. She was the third child out of 4 siblings. Her mother had married her father, but they later divorced after having 3 children together. Later on, her mother remarried to Bill Dugan, and they would have a child together, although their marriage would only last for 9 years before they divorced in 1971. Her family described Lora Jean as a tomboy who liked to play with bugs and was very adventurous. Her stepfather, Bill Dugan, said, quote, "She was like a butterfly." He recounted how one time they stopped at a cemetery and she took flowers off of graves that had a lot to distribute them to those that didn't have any. Bill looks back on her memories fondly, but with sadness. Lora Jean was 14 years old when on April 7, 1972, she ran away from home. On that morning, she was spotted walking toward Interstate 94 in Huntley by a bus driver. Apparently before she went out, she had an argument with her mother over a man she had been dating. Her mother had been dating, not Lora. Her older sister Sherry said she watched Lora Jean through the window climb onto the school bus before she left for school herself. That would be the last time she saw Lora Jean. However, her mother, Betty, says that this is not true and that Lora Jean had actually asked to stay home from school that day because she felt sick. Betty didn't believe her, though, and made her go to school anyway. This is what they had argued over, according to Betty. It stated that Lora Jean was on the bus, but had never actually went to any of her classes. She left and started walking, which is when the bus driver saw her. Several weeks later, on April 30th, 1972, her body was found by a rancher in Medora, North Dakota, about 250 miles from where she went missing. She was sexually assaulted, stabbed, and strangled. Her death was ruled a homicide. Lora Jean's funeral was widely attended, according to her mother, who felt very supported by their community. Still, after so many years, her family feels the pain of their loss and wish to know who's responsible for Lora Jean's death. If you have any information about her case, please contact the Billings County Sheriff's Department at 701-623-4323. Daniel Eric Johnson. Daniel Eric Johnson was born December 1st, 1954, to Mr. and Mrs. Bernard Johnson of Rochester, New York. He attended Hilton High School, but then went into the Air Force during the time of the Vietnam War. On June 27, 1974, 20-year-old Daniel was shot and killed. His body was found 7 miles north of the Minot Air Force Base and 300 feet east of Highway 83 near the entrance to Glenburn. Unfortunately, not much more is known about his personal life, and I could not find a personal photo, only one of his grave marker. There is also not a lot of information released about his case. It has been over 40 years since Daniel was killed, and his case remains open. If you have any information about his case, please contact the Renville County Sheriff's Department at 701-756-6386. Clifton Wendell Marsh. Clifton Wendell Marsh was born on December 8, 1912, in Edenville, Michigan. He worked as a farmer and builder during his life and was a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was known to enjoy going on fishing trips, and it was quite normal for him to go on these. On September 29th, 68-year-old Clifton left his home in Michigan to travel to Fort St. James, British Columbia, a spot he frequented. At some point during his trip, he arrived at a rest stop near Devil's Lake, North Dakota, where he was subsequently shot in the head before being robbed. He was found on October 1st, in 1981, the next day, by a family who had stopped to rest. It was a disturbing scene, as the murderer had dragged Clifton's body around the rest area before leaving him beside a pond. Other suspicious evidence, such as the hood of his truck being up, and he also had a flat tire. This was odd since the tires were almost brand new. A .44 caliber rifle was also stolen from his truck, but none of the nearby stores ever mentioned it showing up. After 40 years, this case still remains open. Clifton's family are still looking for closure and answers of who killed him. If you have any information about Clifton's case, please contact the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department at 701-662-0708. Hello everyone, Casey here. Just want to say thank you for watching the video and for all the likes and subscriptions. I really do appreciate it. Also, let me know if you have any cases you'd like for me to cover. I always will like to see new recommendations and things I can work on. So, thanks for watching. See ya. Bye-bye.